Hello, hello. Welcome to RamGoatAstrology. I'm Laura Lee, and Helena was just serenading me with some old.
I was
like a 1950s
while
song.
you were eating.
Mm-hmm. It was an old song. I'm surprised you knew that one.
Serenading you eating. You know what? That's actually a topic we've had about you liking to eat and like enjoying you
Yeah,
eating.
yeah.
Okay, this is sounding maybe very strange for people who don't know, but we have been talking about your Chiron many times before,
Yep.
and it had a lot to do with you trying to learn to actually really enjoy eating. So
Mm-hmm.
me serenading you while eating
Yeah,
actually makes a lot of sense.
it does. And it made it fun. I love that.
Yeah.
We talk about all kinds of stuff. It's amazing what can happen, come up with astrology. I actually was just on a trip with my parents and for a couple days, and my kids and I, and my dad asked me for some advice with astrology. He's in a transition in his
Oh,
life where he's letting go of some stuff he was doing, teaching motorcycle safety and stuff, and he wants to maybe be done with that. He's not sure. He's still thinking, and he said, I want to know kind of what I should be working on next. And I was like, ooh, and he asked me for
oh,
some
yeah.
astrology advice, and we dove into it. And we were really explaining. I was explaining some of the things that I saw and what some ideas I had and suggestions. And he was like, "Oh, that makes sense. I'm already doing this and that." Oh, that makes sense. I'm already taking action on it. Like everything I suggested, he had already planted the seeds and was watering them,
Yeah.
and they were already they weren't
Yep.
maybe germinating fully, but they were in the garden of his world, right?
I feel like that's usually how it is, and
Mm-hmm.
astrology is just really great to confirm,
It was
so
so
you can just go
so
harder and
confirming.
like clearer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And we talked a lot about Saturn and Neptune because they are right. He's got Aries at the top of his chart at his midheaven, and so I talked about the Saturn Neptune conjunction and how they are going retrograde right now for the next 5 months, and we need to use that time to wrap up some of the stuff we haven't finished up, right? Whether that is big projects, stuff we've been working hard on, typically something artistic and creative because they're moving
Mm.
back into Pisces.
Yeah.
And so I was telling him he's actually been remodeling a 1956 Chevy truck like from scratch. Like he took the whole truck apart, the entire truck, and he's rebuilding everything and putting it all back together like from scratch and having to make parts and order parts and completely create new parts, right? And new pieces.
Yeah.
And so it's been a really big project, a very Saturnian energy that he's been working on.
Mm.
And he's not quite done with it, but he's getting there. And I was like, dude, you've got about 5 more months. He's like, I want to be done in the next 5
Yeah.
months. Yes. And it's working on him too, right? Like he wants to
Yeah.
wrap this project up. And I know my husband and I are feeling that. We've got a bunch of projects we'd started, and it's almost like time was marching faster than we could keep up with when Saturn moved into Aries. And we were like, oh,
Mm.
wait, hang on. It was like going too fast. And now that Saturn and Neptune have both retrograde, it started to give us some breathing room to like, okay, we got to finish this up now. Okay. Okay, let's
Yes.
finish this clubhouse we were building for the disc golf course. Let's finish this shade lounge. Let's finish the creative projects that we started and get the hard work done so that when Saturn and Neptune go back into Aries, we can launch, we can go, we can take action. So it's been interesting how
Yeah.
that transit is happening for us. How have you been noticing it?
Yeah, because if you didn't notice, you guys listening, today we are going. Oh,
You got
we are
this.
going to talk about, thank you. We are going to talk about the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, which is in Aries. It's at like 1 degree, 0 degrees,
Mm-hmm.
around 0 degree, 1 degree of Aries. And uh, this conjunction has been going on for a couple of weeks,
A couple
like
months,
three
yeah,
weeks, I
yeah.
would say. Couple of months even.
They merged together, and then like they both entered into Aries right around the same time in March. Then they
Yeah.
got really close. Then they got exactly conjunct. Then they both went stationary and retrograded within like a week of each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this isn't like a normal thing. They don't always do
No.
this. This is
And
very
apparently, Laura just told me here, this is gonna go on for a long time.
yeah.
What was it? Next year, March, April? No,
Yeah.
mid-April sort of thing.
Mid-April, these two are going to be having very close intense conversations with Neptune, Saturn conversations until mid-April, when they finally start to like separate from each other a little bit more. By mid-April, by April 15th, Saturn will be at 7 degrees and Neptune will be at 2. So by mid-April, they'll be 5 degrees apart, which still isn't all that far apart.
It's not. And this is really rare. Like that's why we're talking about this. This is two big, slow-moving planets, two like planets that really shape and shift generations and the global energy.
Mm-hmm.
And them to being conjunct for so long is pretty major. And we looked up that it was every 36 years that they do this.
Yes. And it marks their alignment, really marks an era of social transformation and spiritual transformation, because that's what Saturn and Neptune really embody. So we've got hard work with embodying the truth. If you look at Neptune as this disillusionment planet and providing information that isn't always accurate, right? It's information that's sometimes delusional and sometimes not in the full truth. And Saturn wants us to really be grounded and work hard and be mature on understanding what the full truth of the situation is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, before this, both Saturn and Neptune, they were in Saturn. So they were in the same sign.
In Pisces?
Oh, sorry. If they were in Pisces. I had an early shift this morning. I think that it was a lot. I didn't get up this early. I haven't gone up this early for months, I think. Yes, so Saturn and Neptune was together in Pisces before this. So they were in the same sign for quite a while, but this is different because now they're going to be conjunct in the same sign. Yeah. So before, they were in Pisces, working their different kind of magic, sort of in their own end, in their own way, separately. But now they have together moved into this new sign of Aries, and they are sort of doing the whole Aries journey together, merged with their energies.
Yeah.
And that's so special.
It is, especially when you think about Aries, especially 0 degrees Aries. They're not merging at like 15 or 17 degrees Aries. They're merging at 0 degrees Aries. This is a really, really transformative point in the zodiac. It is essentially if you look at Aries being the precipice of birth, right? The showing up out of Pisces, pregnancy realm of what's going on in the watery confusion and the darkness, right? That's like the pregnancy realm. And then Aries is, you now have a baby. This is the screaming bundle of joy that is actually tangible, right?
Yeah.
So it's a very intense precipice of this degree that they've met at. Now they're retrograding back, and now they're going to go back forward together in this placement. So we really have to look at the themes for these two. So we've got dreams that need discipline, right? Dreams with Neptune and discipline with Saturn. Yeah. So this is a time when we have to take spiritual ideals and our artistic visions, right? And kind of the collective hopes and dreams, which is really very Neptunian, and then help them to take shape or dissolve the ones that aren't working anymore. Saturn's so good at being like, nope, cut that shit, leave it. Nope, we're going to put that on the editing floor. That one doesn't make it to the final cut. You don't put that in the movie. No, right? Saturn's good at the editing and the cutting. So yes, we need to take shape and create this movie or this film or whatever it is we're creating, but there are a lot of edits that need to take place before the final production can be released to the masses, right? Of course, these are all metaphors I'm speaking in. So depending on how grounded you are or how aware you are, or, where this shows up in your chart, this might be a very, very prominent thing for you. Like for my dad, his midheaven is at 8 degrees Aries and his Jupiter is at 4 degrees Aries. This is very prominent for him. This is hitting on top of his Jupiter with the 4 degrees energy. And these two big planets will be going over this major expansive planet for him in this 9th house of publishing and philosophy. And I was like, Dad, I think it's time you take all your years of knowledge and all of the teaching, and I think it's time you start like publishing, put it into something, right?
Yeah.
And so that
Yeah.
was the hard work of creating on the planet of publishing and being the guru in the house of publishing and all that, right? So that's kind of how I read that for him. Now, this might show up in your fourth house. This might show up in your first house. So
Mm.
knowing where this conjunction takes place in your chart is going to be really important for knowing how this will affect you personally. So
Yeah.
taking that
And if you have
discipline.
any planets in Aries,
Mhm.
um, they are not going to be staying completely conjunct during the whole travelings through Aries,
No,
but will they will meet up several times and not be so far from each other. So they might not be exactly conjunct if you have a planet in Aries,
yeah,
but they very well might be. Like I have my Mars at 5 degrees. You have your Sun
at eight
at like
degrees.
was it eight
Eight.
degrees?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's see about that. Maybe we're gonna be get hit by that
Yeah.
Saturn Neptune conjunction. And that's pretty cool because that I feel like that would only happen like once in a lifetime.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, even
Yeah.
just like looking ahead a year from now, Saturn will be at 14 degrees Aries and Neptune will be at 4. So they're both still
Yeah.
in that sign, but separated now significantly a year from now. But there's a lot that can happen in a year. A lot, right?
Yeah.
Think about yourself a year ago and all of the things that happen. It's amazing what we can go through in a year. And when the planet of discipline and maturity is on or near or talking to the planet of nebulousness and illusions and spirituality and
Mm.
creativity, like we really do have to work hard on being more creative as a species, being really tuned into our intuition as a species,
Yeah.
knowing when we are being lied to or when things are being manipulated around us, and knowing when to say no. Saturn's great at saying
Yes.
no. Like that's his favorite
Yeah.
word.
Yes. And we were reading a little bit about this transit just now, and I got hopeful for the first time in a very long
Yeah.
time looking at transits. Yes, because we were talking about the last time that Saturn and Neptune were conjunct
Yeah.
around 36 years ago, around the beginning of the 90s, late 80s,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And
89.
what happened then, for example, I mean, I'm sure there was some bad stuff that happened also, but we had the fall of the Berlin Wall.
Yes.
We had the end of the Cold War.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was a couple of other things, but just those two are pretty massive and very symbolic. And I feel like in the times that we are now, when everything's just burning everywhere, this was this gave me a lot of hope seeing
Mm-hmm.
this, and I can really see now how this energy can play out because it's always up to us humans how we choose to deal with this. Because it's everything is a double-edged sword. You can use this in a terrible way. You can also use this in a great way.
Yeah.
But like you were saying, Neptune is your ideals. It's sort of like how we feel the whole world, love for the whole world. Like we feel empathetic. We just feel like we are one. And Saturn is
Mm-hmm.
building structure around something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and being in the sign of Aries is someone who's just gonna blaze ahead and just do something.
Yeah.
Because I feel like for a long time, it's just been like people have just been, we've been very sad and just like rolling around in sadness and we don't know what to do and we can't do anything and we don't know where to go. Just a very helpless feeling. So I'm really hoping that, and if any zodiac sign is gonna get us through this, it's Aries, because
Heck
Aries
yeah.
is strong and fierce. And I mean, maybe a couple of other signs could do this as well, but Aries is it's an excellent position for this
It's
because
it's very
yes,
toddler-esque. Have you ever tried saying no to a toddler, you guys? Like, has that ever been a
yeah,
thing in your realm where you've said no to a toddler who really wants something? I have an Aries toddler in the house right now, and he wanted to ride on the lawnmower this morning. He wanted to go on the tractor with Papa because he saw Papa moving the tractor because we have ducks outside, and he was moving the duck cage and stuff. So he wanted to go on the lawnmower, and that's all Papa was doing. But this toddler wanted to go on the tractor, and he
Yeah.
would not take no for an answer. There was no consoling him. This is what he wanted. This is what was happening. And everyone was going to hear about it until the end of time. It is an intense energy that really will be loud and intense to get its way. And
Yeah. So like in the right hands, and if we are using and choosing just love in front of, if we just choose to go ahead and like move with love, then we can use this energy in a very fierce and human
mm-hmm.
way.
Yeah.
And we can make a lot of change and make a lot of new structure around our visions for the future, and in a very also in a way that is very tied to spirituality as well, because
Mm-hmm.
we do have Neptune there. And in the same breath, yes, this can go completely sideways, but it's up to us. And if you have a choice, which you most people have a choice around many things, then choose the right choice.
Yeah. So when we look at the historical events from last time Saturn and Neptune were conjunct, now this happened in Capricorn. Okay. So Capricorn and Aries are square energies to each other. All right. So just so you know that it's different, but there's still this boldness that happens with both Capricorn and Aries. And so the fall of the Berlin Wall happened, which was the symbol of the Cold War literally crumbling, right? So Saturn represents walls and boundaries, and Neptune is
Yeah.
disillusion and then unification. So literally the dissolving of a physical and ideological division started to crumble, right? So that's a really powerful metaphor that Saturn Neptune conjunction had in Capricorn, is the breakdown of political structures that were unsustainable or very illusion based, right? So that
Yeah.
was one thing. We also had the collapse of the Eastern Bloc, or the beginning of the end of the USSR. So this was the communist
Mm.
regimes in 1989 that began collapsing all across the Eastern Europe, Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Romania, all saw mass protests and political reform there. So Saturn rules
Yeah.
authority in government, and Neptune exposes corruption and fosters disillusionment with these false ideals. So
Mhm.
that makes a lot of sense. And then in China, we had the Tiananmen Square protests in April to June of 89. Chinese students called for democracy and political reform, and the world witnessed a violent suppression of this movement, which is Neptune's idealism met Saturn's authoritarianism. So this is where
Yeah.
students tried to stand up, and this was a tragic example of this conjunction's tension, because that was very suppressed. That trying to unify things and trying to stand up against the government was met with incredible resistance, and it did not turn out positive in that situation.
Mm.
And then there's also the New Age and mysticism started to really enter mainstream during the 89-90 era. There's a huge surge in astrology, metaphysical bookstores, meditation, and then alternative spirituality showed up pretty much on the scene. Hay House publishing and stuff started. Louise Hay started to really become a voice at Esther and Jerry Hicks started to become a voice in healing realms and things. So there
Mm.
was a lot of stepping out of the closet and coming out as this is an actual foundation we can build into our society. So new practices being integrated into these Western systems. And then there was the rise of the
Yeah.
internet and digital illusions, right? So the World Wide Web was literally invented in 89. So when Neptune and
Wow.
Saturn came conjunct last time in Capricorn is when the World Wide Web became a thing. Think about that.
Yeah. It's so interesting that you also say web, because when I think about these two energies, like when you think about spiders, they literally build like super strong structures out of like nothing,
They're
and
hard to
they
see. Yeah.
almost and they're really hard to see. And that's sort of what
I
we're
love
doing
that.
maybe with this Saturn Neptune conjunction. Yeah. It's like weaving dreams,
I
like building,
love
weaving
that.
dreams into reality. I really hope, and I think that there is a lot to be hopeful here. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm so happy to, like, I'm super Capricorn. I think this is the first time I've ever said this on the podcast, that I am very hopeful for something
Yay.
that I'm seeing ahead, like transits.
You heard it
Um,
here, folks. Capricorn
Yeah,
feels
no,
hopeful.
this is nice. This
It is.
it's tough out here, and
In Earth
I mean,
school? Heck yeah, it
in
is.
Earth School, and I mean, for me, I cannot complain at all. All I'm doing is I have a hurting heart
Yeah.
for the world, but this gives me hope, and knowing also that um, we also have other things supporting this. We have
Yes.
Pluto in Aquarius now
Yes. Yes.
that we did not have
No.
in 89.
Yeah.
Pluto is in Aquarius and working its super magic in transformation,
With
sort
you,
of how,
with
like, also, yeah,
humanity.
humanity. Yeah,
Humanitarian efforts, bringing people together on this in a new way, a completely in unpredictable way. Aquarius is
yeah,
so unpredictable, right? And Pluto is
yeah,
helping us to really see where where things need to be destroyed, right? Finding
yeah,
the blighted houses in town and take the blighted houses down and put something new there in its place, right? Really destroy the old crap that isn't working. So
yeah,
the themes that I think really echo through from 89 to today is really the
mm,
collapse of these false ideologies, especially over here in America, where people are like, oh, we live in the land of free and we're free and all this freedom. They really like to push that over here. Like this is a freedom, land of freedom. I don't know
yeah.
what they're talking about. There is like there are some,
False advertisement.
yeah, there are some freedoms, but I don't know if you've ever tried to, really look at what freedom means because Mm, not really. No, sort of, maybe. Depends on your definition of freedom. And so
Yeah.
the collapse of these false ideologies of, we've got a lot of white supremacism here. We've got a lot of Christian nationalism and a lot of
Hmm.
real like touting Christianity, even though doing things that are completely not Christ-like at all.
Yeah.
Right, right. So this collapse of these false ideologies and the unsustainable systems. We have a government that is so intertwined with lobbyists and pharmaceuticals and money and people giving the government money and say I won't, or political people money saying I won't support you with money anymore unless you pass this bill into law, right?
Yeah.
That's an unsustainable system that is
Yeah.
so corrupt and so messed up. And there is such a messed up issue with our voting system and all of it, right? I mean, all you have to do is look up the word gerrymandering. If you've never heard of gerrymandering, I don't know if you know that word in
Mm.
Sweden.
I've heard about
Have
it.
you?
Yeah.
Basically
Mm.
drawing maps to fit your political agenda and just
Yeah.
making the map look like whatever you want it to fit the people into your demographic, into the particular map. It's insane. I don't even know why we have that word for it. I don't know why it's allowed.
Yeah.
Like this, it's an unsustainable system. So
It's a
those are
silly word for a silly thing.
so we have those are real similar themes, I feel. And then of
Yeah.
course crises of trust in our institutions. There is no
Mm.
trust in the institutions that are leading us right now. If you ask anybody in any country, do you trust your government to represent your needs and your wishes?
Mm.
I don't know many countries that would be like, oh yeah, absolutely. Maybe Bhutan, maybe New Zealand, I'm not sure, but
Mm.
it's not many countries that people who would say yes, I totally feel like my government's got my back.
Yeah.
The only
Yeah.
ones I can think of are like maybe Finland, where there's like female leaders, right? Where they've I know Rwanda has a female leader where they've like completely retaken over the government and redone everything. And those are the ones I'm thinking of. Maybe those people would be like, yeah, actually this is great. It's better than, the genocide we had. And actually the Rwandan genocide was in the
Yeah.
80s, wasn't it? 89 or 90, wasn't it?
Was
Early
it?
90s?
Oh, it was. That's not good.
But think
Uh,
about that if and then the complete shift they've got going on right now. Oh, it's interesting
yeah.
stuff. So it's our job to build new, more spiritually aligned structures after the disillusionment. That's the job. That's the theme.
Mm.
That's what we have to do right now. And really
Yeah.
have awareness of our dreams of unity clashing with the limits of the structure that we're already stuck in. Right? We have this
Yeah.
governmental structure, we have this financial structure, we have these structures we're stuck in, and we need to try to build these dreams of unity, but they're clashing with the structures that are already there. So Pluto can help us break down those structures. And of course, Uranus and Gemini is going to give us this new sense of authentic, like, I need to do this. This
Yeah.
needs to have, we need a new perspective. We need a
Yeah. Yeah.
shift in looking at it different.
Yeah. And if you guys have like any, was a fairly short episode on a fairly big thing, but if you have any questions about this, you can just reach out to us on our email, which is somewhere here where you can listen to this podcast, or you can find us on Instagram at
Astrology.
RamGoatAstrology.
Hmm.
That's our name. And just hit us with your questions, or if you want us to talk more in depth about this, because this is a transit that's gonna
Hmm.
just keep going and going and going.
Yeah.
It's gonna stay with us for a while.
Yep. And
Yeah.
you've got to know this about what's going on in your chart too. So if you want to do a personal reading with the two of us, we can hook you up there, and you can have two astrologers reading your
Mm.
chart. So if you want to do that, we can help you understand how this would hit you personally, and what you might want to be leaning into or creating awareness around the illusion. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because a lot of times we don't see it when we're in our own fog, right? We're in our own storyline, and it's hard to see the work we need to
Yeah.
do personally. So that's why astrology readings help so much. This is a fun topic to dive into. It's definitely a big one, like you said, but
Yeah.
I think is a good one to bring up. I know we've mentioned it a couple times in some of our shows, and this was interesting to dive into today for sure.
All right.
Thank
Hit
you
us
for
up.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. And if you have any comments or thoughts or anything to add about Neptune and Saturn conjunct, we would love to hear it. Thanks so much for listening. Take care, everyone.
Bye bye.
Thank you for joining us this week. Be sure to like and support the show by sharing with a friend or joining us on Patreon. And you can buy us a tea or coffee and financially support us. Thank you so much. It's so appreciated.